the sheer number of people that exist today, most likely where you live, due to industrialization, is mind-numbing. You most likely live in a city with many people. You live in a community where large numbers of people live and work and commute. You come across large numbers of people online. And this number just keeps growing and growing and growing. And the individual, according to Carl Jung, in such modern conditions, can begin to feel insignificant and inadequate due to the sheer number of people that surround him. And these feelings are understandable. However, there is a way out, and it's quite a simple, not easy, but there's a simple way out to this feeling of impotence and inadequacy that plagues the modern man and creates spiritual problems for him. There are a number of behaviours, attitudes, actions, and patterns of lifestyle that you can adopt that will separate you from the common man, from the 99%, so to speak, that will really make you stand out. Now, not stand out due to hubristic reasons where you're egocentric and you think you're better than anybody else, but just so it's a metric, the metric of you rising above the herd, above the flock, as a way of you standing out and living in accordance with self-actualization. Number one, and I've mentioned this before in previous videos, is to take a cold shower. Now, especially if you're living in the West, you have a easy, comfortable, convenient life, and you have access to warm water. How many people do you think are taking cold showers? Not many. I would guesstimate maybe 5 to 10%, and that's being very generous, of people regularly take a cold shower because it's difficult and it's challenging and it's the complete opposite to comfort. If people have access to warm water, they're going to use it. They want ease and comfort and convenience. If you're taking a cold shower, you are standing out from the 99%. Another one is not listening to music. Now, when I say music, I don't mean binaural beats or classical music or some sort of music that you can derive a benefit or purpose from that can objectively benefit you in certain circumstances, moderately and reasonably. I'm talking about mass music, hip-hop and R&B, and just the pure degenerate filth that is poured down into people's minds and consciousnesses on a mass scale due to the influence and power of the music industry, which has got a lot of people constantly being brainwashed, constantly listening to music and drowning out their psyches in the gym, in the car, at home. Just these two little headphones, these two little things stuck into your ears and constantly feeding you these messages, subliminally altering your mental state and your mind frame and pouring down just pure filth and negativity into your brain. That can be avoided. The listening of music is so ubiquitous. If you stop listening to music, or just severely reduce the amount of music you listen to and replace it, ideally you want to spend most of your time not having this radioactive frequency banging into your brain all the time. But if you are, then useful stuff, books and podcasts and relaxing classical music maybe, not the mass music that is being consumed in the modern day. And I've been a victim of this myself as well. It's very addictive, isn't it? It's very frustrating as well, always trying to find new stuff to listen to. And when you actually do a close examination of the lyrics, of the messaging that is being disseminated in these songs, you realize, what have I been feeding my mind all this time? So stand out and separate yourself from the masses by refusing to listen to this propaganda, to this mass, evil, nefarious propaganda that is a common music industry, and stop listening to music. Another one is being in good shape. Now there's a reason why seeing someone who's in good shape is rare, because it's difficult to acquire, isn't it? Because it requires a commitment to a long-term process, to a lifestyle, to consistency of habits. Most people are fat and out of shape and overweight and have a very poor diet and relationship with food. Now, of course, there are external influences that are manipulating these behaviors and decisions and actions, such as the ubiquity of fast food advertisement, such as the overabundance and ease of accessibility to poor food, junk food, and even things as specific as where food is placed when you go into a supermarket, and the kind of messaging and branding that is used, and the palatability of the actual food itself. Again, this is mass social engineering. It applies to the music industry, but it probably applies even more to the food industry now. The common man is out of shape, is fat, has a poor gut health, and by extension a poor brain health, because you are what you eat, and the food that you eat actually does affect whether or not you have optimal cognitive function. So you can stand out by eating properly and being in good shape and training yourself. And as Andrew Tate has said, being in good shape has become an act of resistance in and of itself. And that is actually something that's very clear. And the final way I wanted to give you a remedy, an antidote for the spiritual problem and the feeling of inadequacy and feeling impotent and powerless and insignificant in the face of the sheer numbers of the people that exist in our modern world, and the commonality of habits that exist and lifestyle choices that are shared among many different people that characterize you as being part of the flock, is by reading. By reading consistently and feeding your brain and your mind and your soul and your spirit with knowledge, you are standing out from the common man, from the commoners, from the herd, from the flock, from the sheep. Reading. Most people do not read. And even those who do read, they might read online, which is according to Nicholas Carr, who wrote The Shallows, How the Internet is Changing the Way We Think, Read and Remember, is a shallow way of reading. Is not a reading based on concentration. So most people don't read, and some of those who do read are not even reading properly. If you read, and you read consistently, and you read properly, and you read stuff that interests you, and you argue with the author in your brain, and you memorize at least some of what you read, you are gleaning all the benefits of reading, and you are becoming more intelligent, and you are becoming more creative, and you are a well-rounded, educated individual. And that definitely isn't common, and definitely is going to make you stand out in a world where most people overexpose themselves to a hyper stimuli and a constant barrage of mindless, soul-numbing entertainment such as reality TV and pointless social media content, which is usually the time that would be devoted to reading before bed, when first waking up, when driving in the car, when waiting at a doctor's appointment. Most people will flock to their phones. And hey, you don't need to carry a book around everywhere with you. Just get an e-reader. I recommend the Kobo e-reader, not necessarily a Kindle. Now, if you want to stand out even among readers and get because most people have Kindles, but no, reading, it's not common. I can't say it's not common. A lot of people read, but the number of people who don't read is far higher than the people who do read. So for me, you got to really think, if I'm not reading at the moment, why am I not reading? You need to start. It's an essential foundational habit that's really going to improve all aspects of your life and make you a more intelligent, creative, thinking, rational, open-minded person. And you really have to experience the benefits for yourself. And it's going to be difficult in the beginning to concentrate and actually be able to read deeply and absorb what you read if you're not currently reading. And if you are reading, there are ways to improve memory and absorption of what you read. So that one definitely is going to make you stand out. So I've listed quite a few of them for you. Quitting music, being in good shape, reading, taking cold showers. This might sound like self-improvement platitudes, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not just trying to reel off to you all these different good habits and you should do them, and we get nowhere, goes into one ear out of the other. There are many more examples of ways that you can stand out from the common. Obviously, being financially independent would be one of them, because most people have 9-to-5 jobs. My job here is not to list every single one of them. I've given you a few examples, and then you'll start to spot your own examples as you adopt this way of thinking, and it'll become easier for you to realize, how can I stand out? How can I save myself or free myself from this feeling of inadequacy? It's simply by not accepting the propagandistic and dogmatic ways of thinking that are being socially engineered into the common person that inevitably are going to lead to that feeling of inadequacy. So start to adopt these habits that might be difficult or unimportant to other people and that are not so commonplace, and you'll be well on your way to standing out, to living a life that's more flourishing, to living a life that is more meaningful and purposeful, and a life that is a form and is a path to self-actualization. Hope you've learned something new today. As always, if you could support the channel by liking, commenting and subscribing. Let me know what you think in the comments, as I would love to hear your thoughts of what you think about the ways that I've listed. And do you agree with the spiritual problem that is existing now in our society of the common insignificant man, or not? So I'd love to hear your thoughts if you could share them, and see you next time.